Hey everybody, I'm just getting set up, so I won't be starting till 3, but... I'm just getting set up, so I won't be... Forgot to mute that, sorry. It's playing on my other screen, so... And I kind of have my sound set up kind of loud, I think, so I'm going to turn it down a bit. You can all let me know if the sound is good. Hi Laura, how are you? I see you there in the chat. I have to, Is my music too loud? Hopefully it's not. Oh, okay, good. So I posted on Facebook a couple of the images of Elizabeth City. And not until just now, but I noticed some people were interested in joining the stream today, so... I still haven't figured out a great way to make my chat huge so I can see it. So let me just check on YouTube. Let's see. Videos. And live. Let me see. Oh, okay. Now I can see the chat on there pretty good. Videos. Oops. I have to turn that off. And live. Let me see. Oh, okay. Now I can see the chat. To turn me down there. It's pretty technical to get all this stuff set up. I'm amazed that I'm able to do it. Sorry, my camera's shaking a little bit there. I just wanted to tape down this second piece of watercolor paper. Are you going to paint today, Laura? Or are you just watching? Oh, okay, good. Hi Kathleen. Hi, Irene. I'm going to start out with just a sketchbook sketch of this image of this boat. And I sketched it here in my sketchbook. Hopefully you can see it well enough. Let me get this camera just perfect. And I have, this is sketch number 1, boat number 1. And I know it's kind of dark, it's kind of hard to see, but you don't really have to worry about the details. Just get the big shapes in like I've done here, if you want to start sketching that. So we have a beautiful day here in Raleigh. It's so unusual that our summer is this nice outside. This morning it was about, oh, I don't know, it was cool. Anyway, cool enough that I needed a little blankie outside while I was having my coffee this morning. And then I think it was around like 78 or 79 when I posted on my... when I posted on Instagram today. I can blow up this picture here a little bit bigger. There we go. So just put in your, about a third down from the top of your paper. Put in a horizon line where those trees are. And this back here is all going to be trees. Okay, babe, you leaving?
I'm leaving.
All right, we'll see you later. Joe's gonna go out and drive around, check out the town. I'll just scratch this in with a pencil so you can see, hopefully a little bit better, the tree line. And our boat here is mostly in shadow. All this is in shadow. And it has a little canopy on top, right here. It's kind of like a double canopy. And there's some rigging and stuff, but, well, I don't know if I like that line, but. There's some, ooh, that's really dark. Get that pencil mark off of there. Wi-Fi doesn't carry well to the studio? Oh. Okay. Carly, are you with us? I know Carly was thinking about joining today, maybe. And I promised I'd give everybody time to do a sketch, so maybe I will darken in the sketch since it's just in my sketchbook. I just am randomly putting in these trees in the background. And the tree line is pretty straight across, but you can make it more interesting by just varying these shapes. I don't know if I'm very good at that, but here there's maybe, you know, a tree that's got some kind of different shape there. Maybe we'll make another one there. Here's our horizon line. Make sure when you put in this little, now I've moved things around. Let me get, oh, this is actually a different image. I'm not sure which one you guys got. I didn't realize they were that different, but this one has the boat in coming up to this little dock, and it's got this little white pergola thing there. And I've put that in my painting here, rather large, so I'm not just drawing the photo as I see it. I'm making it, I'm kind of zooming in on this area here. So this part of the photo doesn't really matter. It's more like this is what we want. And so you can see the little pergola there, and the boat with the light on it. And the pier comes out almost to the end of the page here. Hi Tina, how are you? I pulled out one of my photos from Elizabeth City and decided I wanted to go a little bit slower today for some of the beginners. I know I paint fast, and this is a really simple sketch that I think everybody can do, and it'll just be a nice fun little painting. Hey, there's DJ. How are you doing, DJ? Did you get my photos on Instagram? We're gonna paint a little sailboat today. I think this sailboat is actually a little longer than I have it drawn here. I could maybe change that a little bit just by doing that. And connecting it. I didn't think that I had the proportion exactly right there. This maybe is a little bit better. And this comes down here towards the back, like that. Are you going to paint with us today, DJ? It's been kind of quiet the last couple of days because, well, for me anyway, because we actually, this boat actually comes down like that in the back. If I was to pay attention to this photo, it's more like that. And there's actually some people on there, which we don't really have to put in there, but if we wanted to, we could. You got them and you're good. Okay. Let me know when everybody's comfortable with their drawing. And it doesn't have to be a detailed drawing because we just want the big shapes in there. And honestly, I think this sailboat should go right off the page here, the mast, because it's very, very tall. So we'll just have that go straight off the page. We'll put some birds here to keep our eye in the painting, and these lines will come back down this rigging here. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Is the Facebook group Sunday Sketchers? I asked to join last week but not accepted. Oh, did I get the right group? Hey Laura, that's a good question. You know, I haven't been in there and I haven't really been on Facebook that much. So I need to go in there and see what's going on. Let me take a look. It's Sketchbook Sunday Watercolor Group. Oh, member requests. Hold on. Oh, there you are. Okay, so I'm approving you. And I'm approving Paulina. Okay. So hopefully that'll work now. And I can... That's where you can, if you want, you can post your paintings that you do on there, and we can talk about them as a group if you want after you've done them, or you can post them if you have questions, and you know, I can look at it and see if there's anything. Is that where I post the photos? I should be, but I don't always do it, but I can. and I will in the future. Today I just posted them really quick on Facebook, but yeah. And then also I can post them in the Facebook, the Sunday Sketcher group, and I can also post them on Patreon, which I just started, but I really haven't been using it. So yeah. Let me turn the camera a little bit more here. Yeah, I should post them in there, and I'd love to see everybody's artwork posted in there too, because that's a good place to learn and ask questions and, you know, hang out with the group and other painters. So, and I have 2 Facebook pages too. I have my artist page and then I have my regular page, and I need to, I bounce back and forth between them, and I need to make sure I'm posting the art on the artist page, which I don't always do. I'm probably most active now on Instagram. There's just too many social media things. It's like, but I don't want to abandon Facebook though, so I'll try to be more dedicated to that. Irene, do you have your drawing done? Hi, Carly. I see you're there. Oh, Instagram is the easiest for you, Laura? Okay, good. Well, I almost always post on there. I just, and then sometimes what I do is I'll send everybody who's regular in the group, I'll send them a picture there, like DJ and Paulina and Carly and Kat and Irene and Kathleen. Some of the regulars, I just send them the pictures. But I'm not very good about planning in advance and sending them way in advance. But if you'd like them a few days in advance, I can try to be more diligent about that. So I'm going to get something inspiring here for a second. This is a book that is out of print. Hold on a second. My belt keeps rubbing when I when I lean up against the desk, and then it causes all kinds of noise, so I'm taking it off. This is Joseph Spookfich's book. It's called Mastering Atmosphere and Mood in Watercolor. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a really good book. He paints very traditionally and also very atmospheric, and he's an amazing world-class painter. But sometimes when I'm doing boats and I want to get inspired by a color palette or whatever, I'll just open his book and look at some of his boats. Now, these are obviously in Venice. But I want you to look at the large, simple shapes of the study here. I mean, you could almost cut this one in half and just have that as a painting, almost. Or this side. He links it together pretty well with these. This is a really traditional kind of color palette with all the yellows and ochres and siennas and then the blue. And a lot of times I'll use that kind of palette, those colors. But today our photo is pretty much sea and sky, and it's all blue, and it looks very dark. So when you go out in nature and you see that, and you're trying to paint something like that, you're going to notice a lot more colors in the you know, in the scenery, obviously. than you do with a photograph, because the photograph saturates the darks and eliminates some of the highlights, and it's hard to see in a photograph. So when you're thinking about your color palette in your painting, now this one I love because it's got a lot of purplish blues, and it's a very simple palette, light and dark. There's not a lot going on. There's just a little bit of burnt sienna in some of these trees and branches. Now here's another boat one. This is really interesting because he's catching this afternoon light coming in between the buildings. And notice how only the tops of the boats have light. The light is coming across the water here in the reflection. And he's added these little warm touches all over the place in this painting. So we could simplify the background of our painting by keeping the tree line real simple like that, and then trying to accentuate maybe the light on the boat. We could do it with this. We could do the sky with an afternoon glow. We could really change it up and then make the reflections warm like this. Now that's really using my imagination to change up the photo if we wanted to. Here's another one, very simple. Now I think this might be interesting for you all. Here it simply has, look at, he's just used a very simple sky in the background, which we need. He's used almost entirely all variations of green and warms in here. And then the boats are very simple. And the reflections and the light dark really make the painting. So maybe we'll try to do something like this, but not exactly, because I'm not a huge fan of this big, huge green here in the back. I'd rather see a little bit of, I don't know, just something not so all green. So I'll probably make it a little more expressive with maybe some blues and greens and yellows mixed together. And then the trees are not reflecting in our picture though onto the water. So, but I like the simplicity of it. So we'll keep the water blue and the sun high, so we don't see that huge reflection there, but we will see a reflection maybe off the side of the boat. Here's another one that's really super simple. This is really atmospheric, and he's just done this beautiful wash all the way down. That's nice too. We could keep it real fuzzy in the background if we wanted with that tree line, and then just focus on the dock and the boat. So there's so many different ways to approach it. I just think it's interesting. Anyway, so we can try it in, a lot of different ways. You can do it with the sun up high, with a little shadow. You can do it with hazy sky. You can do it with afternoon sunlight. So there's a lot of things to think about. And in this one, it's just a sunny day, and it must be like maybe just afternoon, because the shadow is the highlights on the boat, and there's not a long reflection on this side of the boat here, but I'm probably going to put one in there anyway when we paint it. So, okay, I hope you're all done with your sketch, and let's try to do a simple painting. Get my palette wet here. So I need to make up my mind about these colors. Now this is on my sketchbook paper, so remember, maybe we'll try to do more of a value study on there. And then on our watercolor paper, try to do it, keep it a little more, I don't know, a little more interesting. With, you know, not so much of a value study. Some of you may already be set up with watercolor paper, so I guess I'll treat it as a watercolor and not a value study. Okay. Just to confuse everybody. DJ, how's my sound and video? Is everything okay? Hopefully. Hopefully. Okay. Well, all right. So I think I'll use a little bit of this cobalt blue for my sky. And towards the top of the sky, I'm adding a little bit of ultramarine. And then I'll make it darker on top of the sky and lighter as I come down a little bit. And to that ultramarine, I may add just a touch of red to give it even more. So I guess I decided I'm going to make it a bright sky, but so bright and sunny, dark blue, and then as I come down, I'm going to shift it to a little more cerulean and let that just get in there, here and there. I've got a lot of water on this brush, so it's really running, but that's okay. Oops, let me get some more water in this cup. So I set a little bit of cerulean as I come down, just to vary the color a little bit. And then as I get to the tree line, hopefully you don't have too much water right there on your paper. A little bit is okay, it can blur in. I'll just take a little bit of yellow ochre and brush in some warm for those trees in the background. Just a little bit. And then I like the idea of pushing that green with a little bit of cerulean and yellow ochre together. And that's all wet, so just push it together and let it do its thing. This is all in the background, so it can be fuzzy and have soft edges. And because I'm on the sketchbook paper, it's drying quickly and I can almost just keep painting. But if you're on real watercolor paper and it's still damp, still real wet, I mean, it should be damp, but if it's too wet, it'll bloom and go all over the place, as you know. And along the background here, you can drop in little bits of more pigment here in some of these trees in the front maybe are casting some shadows there, and the ones behind maybe are lit up by the sun. So I'm just, while this is wet, I'm just dropping in more and more paint, more and more color. I'll take it down over here. As you get to the bottom edge of this bank of trees in the background, you can darken it up with a little bit of ultramarine blue. I can take a little ultramarine and a tiny bit of burnt umber too, and touch that in back there to make some places darker, some places lighter. Add a little more towards the bottom there. Okay, so I hope everybody's having fun just kind of getting those background trees in there and not worrying too much about anything really. You're supposed to just have fun and drop in some colors and let them be. And then so we had a big project here this week, and while you're doing your background there, I'll talk a little bit. So when we moved into this house, the yard was a disaster, and we've been working on it, and I've always wanted a little garden but never really knew where to put it. So and in fact we were gonna put the house on the market and downsize, but now with this virus going on, we can't really go anywhere, and we certainly don't want to go out looking for homes, and we think it's a terrible time to have people come and look at ours. So I decided to start putting in the garden. So I potted a whole bunch of pots on my patio, and we've got hot red chili peppers growing. We have jalapeno. We have I don't know how many varieties of tomatoes. What else? Is that blurry? Make sure that's, maybe I can zoom it in a little more. We have, what else? Let me think. Well, I have all kinds of herbs. So I've got basil and 2 different kinds of parsley, 3 different kinds of basil. I have dill and some chives. And so we finally figured out that we would like, on the south side of the house, a couple of raised bed planters for the garden. And so yesterday we had a guy come and he built the planters and he filled them with soil. And so now I have 2 big planters. And I think on the Instagram post today on the stories, the last one is a picture of the planters, but I'll do a longer post where you can see them better. But anyway, so it should be fun to keep us busy while we're at home. Irene, you're probably laughing because I know you had, well, Grandpa, your dad had such a huge garden. It was amazing. So we learned a lot from Grandpa, right? But probably not enough. Let's see here. I just have to send my other gardening friend here a little note. She's okay. So anyway, there we have the background. Let's go ahead and work on our water here. And I think I'll just use a mixture of cobalt and ultramarine. You could even, you could use ultramarine violet or really whatever color you've used. I didn't do a very good job of saving my light on this this little what do you call it? Pergola thing. But I do want to try to save a few lights along this rope that's along the top of the pier here, and certainly around the boat. I want to save some highlights. So I'm going to skip around with my brush here and there. And you can also do that in various places in the water to make it look like waves. Now where I've missed the cabana here should have been left white, so I'll have to lift that out. And the little cupola of it. Oops, sorry, that's my camera moving. And I even have a brush that's called a scrubber. I think I talked about this once before. It's a very stiff little brush, and I can get in there and lift out. In fact, with this sketchbook paper, it's not very strong paper, and so I'm actually lifting some of the paper off the page there, but I don't care because it's just my sketchbook. At least I've got my cabana back here a little bit. So I'll just continue on down the way here with my, and don't worry about the dock because you can put that on after. I'm just kind of going to wash in some of this color, and maybe I'll make some of it a little bit darker underneath where the dock is because it's probably casting a little reflection there. Can't see any more of the I guess everybody's busy painting and not chatting. This comes along here. Try to leave a couple of white spaces on the water. You can even scumble over, like real fast with your brush, sort of pressing against the side of it, and that'll give you some dry brush marks. And as I'm coming forward, I may want to make that a tiny bit darker. So I think I'll add just a touch of red to it to bring it a little bit deeper blue. Kind of a purpley blue as we get towards the foreground part of our painting. Now I have this taped up here, so I'm going to try to remove that. Now this is on cheap sketchbook paper, so it's not going to have the same look as a fine piece of watercolor paper, but I think it's important sometimes to just work in your sketchbook and not worry about so much about creating a finished painting. Now if you look, I'm mixing up a little more of this dark to just brush in here while it's still wet. You can make some interesting foreground wave action. And then let it dry, and we can go over that yet again as we get more on this in the next wash. Okay, so I think I'd like to put in some details of the dock now with a liner brush. You can find one. So you can use a liner, whatever you've got. And for that, I'm going to mainly use burnt sienna or burnt umber with ultramarine. Am I drawing too fast, DJ? I'll give you time to go ahead and finish your foreground water. You just want to go from light to dark, and I can tell on the screen it looks like it's really super dark, but it's really not that dark. And it doesn't even look that good, but when I'm done, it will. I promise you, it'll look better. And if you're worried, if you've made yours a little bit, you think it might be too dark or not great or whatever, you can spritz a little bit if you want. I'm not going to do it because I think it'll be okay in the end, but okay, so get your little liner brush and load it up with some dark burnt sienna or burnt umber and ultramarine. I think I want it to lean a little bit more warm, so I'll make it lean a little more burnt sienna in there. And again, I'm kind of skipping that along to suggest that on this dock, there may be some highlights there. And there's also a rope thing that's kind of going across there. Just suggest it. Don't try to make it too exact. It shouldn't be really the star of your show in your painting. And here's our dock. Oops, out in the end. And there's like a little thing here on the dock. I'm gonna just darken that up a little bit where it And then this little pergola thing. It has, you know, it's really white, but it has a shadow on it on one side of these posts. So I'm not doing a very good job of illustrating that right now. I think what's important is to use a little bit of blue here and there, like a grayed down blue, to go ahead and give it a shadow shape underneath that little cupola, and a shadow across where it's the sun is casting a kind of a strong shadow on this one side. Wow, this is horrible paper, sketchbook paper to work on that I'm using. No wonder students often don't get a good result. I mean, when you work on this kind of paper, it's really difficult to get a decent result. Sorry, I'm going to put my sunshade down because it's casting light on my work table there. Okay. All right, so I would use a little cerulean blue for this canopy on the boat. I'll make it kind of light. Especially on the top part is light, and maybe the shadow part is a little darker cerulean blue. And then underneath it is a shadow, a dark, kind of a darker shadow. So I don't know if we can suggest that by doing this, putting a nice dark shadow under there. And also, it kind of runs behind it, underneath, and to that side slightly. Might be hard to see, it might be hard to do. And while I'm there, I may indicate a few of these little this kind of rigging and metal parts that are hanging out there. I'm going to put a couple shadow shapes in here and for the windows, and I'm going to go ahead and give that blue line that goes down the side of the boat there. And there's also a dark window or something right about there. And our guy that's hanging out there on the boat, he's going to be just a dark shape. And you need to get him in there really dark with your ultramarine and maybe some burnt sienna. If you want, you can leave one side of him a little bit lighter for a highlight. Maybe make his head burnt sienna. And maybe he's got a buddy there with him, so we'll give him a buddy on the boat. And that person will just vary the color a little bit, and maybe make him a little more blue, not so black, like that. And they're hanging out, doing something. I'm going to darken up that little window there, whatever that thing is, and maybe these windows. I don't need all the highlights that I left on the top of the dock. So I'm going to switch it around a little bit and go back to this dock here, and I'm going to draw some darker, whatever these things are called, pilings or whatever, underneath, and put a darker shadow under there too. Just a little shadow that cruises under the dock there. DJ, how are you doing? How is everybody's painting coming along? This cupola thing here looks absolutely horrible. I really messed up the paper there by forgetting about it. Just to illustrate, I'm going to put white back in there with titanium white so you can see the cupola that is supposed to be there. Maybe we can put a shadow on it later. And there's actually white highlights from the sun coming down on these pillars. And I would never get nitpicky enough to use any kind of masking or anything like that. You know, if I was doing a larger painting, I'd be more careful about saving my whites there just by painting around it. And not worrying about it because the one side is in shadow, closer to the bottom of these things. And the ones in back are even more in shadow. And the whole cupola right here is in shadow, and then a shadow comes across like that. You're almost done, DJ? Okay. I guess I should wait for that to dry before I can put a nice white highlight on there, and maybe along this edge of those. Highlight across the top edge and then shadow underneath, and you can't go wrong with that. Most of the front half of the boat, the top half is has that huge light from the sun, the shape there, but everything else is in shadow. And there's actually a few little wave ripples there where the boat's moving. I don't know if I'll be able to save those or not, but okay. So I'm going to cruise over and try to do the shadow parts of the boat now and save the lights there and see if we can come up with, actually this part right here in the background I need to fill in. And where these people are, this is all in shadow, so I'll just put a light shadow shape there where it comes up to this part of the boat that has that little so we'll take that, get rid of those lights, we don't need them. And here, this little, the canopy goes like that, and that part there. There's a few highlights around there that are a little bit distracting, so I'm just going to take them out just by going over with my same blue. Now, if you were doing a very, a big painting, I would call this a sketchbook study, but if you were doing a final painting, you probably wouldn't want to go back over and start, painting over highlights to get rid of them, and you'd want to be a lot more careful about where you left them. A little bit careful. You don't have to be crazy about it, but I'm filling them in now a little bit here and there because I don't need them all and they're confusing to the rest of my image. But sometimes you have to leave a certain amount of highlights, and then a little bit you can fill them in here and there, but I wouldn't necessarily leave so many in a finished painting that you have to go back and start going over things. You don't really want to do that. So hope my camera's focusing. All right, now for the bottom part of the shadow side of the boat. The back is a little lighter back here for some reason. So I'm just going to put that in with the blue shadow. I could add a little burnt sienna to that to make it gray, a little more gray. Ooh, maybe not that gray. Put this in. It has to get a certain amount darker. Maybe the top edge is catching a little more light than the bottom edge. I got a lot of pencil marks on there that I really don't like. Kind of making it look a little bit muddy around there, but with a thirsty brush you can take up anything where you've got too much pigment and just take it off a little. I want it to be a little more saturated, more color at the bottom of the boat there where it's in shadow. So who's working on watercolor paper and who's working on sketchbook paper right now? And it's time to put in a nice dark shadow along this side of the boat. And this side is darker than, at least in the photograph image, it's darker than the back of the boat. And there's also a little bit of light on the front of the boat there, so I'll just try to taper that like that. And probably the most important part is this dark shadow on the bottom of the boat that you want to try to get in there, right here. That's going to set that boat in the water And from there, we're going to make an exaggerated reflection coming down. And I said I'd try to save some whites here for a ripple in the water. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but maybe just a little bit. That. Well, let's see. And then you really want to load up your ultramarine and a little burnt sienna to carry this shadow down. And I'm going to make kind of dramatic reflections here. I don't like that one. Coming down in front of the boat. And maybe especially here where the mast is. And I'll go ahead and put that in because so you can see what I'll just put the mast coming down here onto the boat. And maybe some of this rigging, these lines. Oops, that wasn't very good. And every here and there, you can maybe just give a little indication of some darks, just throw in to represent, you know, the metal parts that hold this stuff together. And so that's why down here, my reflection I'm making of this mast coming down, I'm imagining it because it's really not there. And I'm gonna make a few more. With the ultramarine and a little bit of red, you can go ahead and mix up a nice dark to continue your reflections here on the boat. I think I'll get rid of that white there and take it right up and connect those together. Maybe we'll just leave it like that. A little bit of drama in there. And I still want a little highlight there. And maybe this back end of the boat I'm going to darken just a little. So now if you want, you can add a few bits and bobbles, a few little details. For one thing, out here in the water, if you want, you can make the waves just a few little indications of waves that are smaller than. And there, if I smudge it, I can get a little bit of a splash going there. The waves getting smaller as, you know, further away from you. Maybe just a few little indications of those. And then you can take your rigger brush again and put in some details of the boat. And you probably don't see a whole lot, but there is like that guardrail that goes around the boat, and mostly it's kind of lit up, but in the light, but like back here there's a little bit, and maybe coming across this way with a few lines like that to indicate that thing, and then a few more. Oof, wanted those to be. Well, you can use white for that. There's a couple of sail lines, or whatever you call them, rigging parts that are totally in highlight coming across this way from this this big piece here. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to put a couple highlights on this cover. And anywhere I missed a highlight, like maybe you could put one on this guy. Maybe they're catching a little light, so they're not totally underneath this awning. And also the little supports from that awning across there. And on the other side of this dock, go ahead and light up. I'm of all the highlights, I didn't save enough that look like, you know, maybe there's a sailboat back on the other side of this dock. You can put a couple of those in with your white. And then a couple of masts. I got a lot of paint on my brush. But, you know, there's some boats parked back there. So there we go. I get a little bit of that. Indicate some of that, the stuff on the boats, the junk. You hashtag me on Instagram for your last post. Instagram is is the easiest. Okay, good. I love Instagram. It's so much fun to play around with. Okay. So, that's our little warm-up sketchbook study of the sailboat in Elizabeth City. Should we do it on real watercolor paper now? Or should we take a break and I could do a little more in the background if I wanted to. This is such bad paper for actually working on, though. I mean, this looks horrible because of the cheap paper, but you could normally get a really nice misty effect with watercolor, and I'll do that next if you all want to. Or if you're happy with the sketch and you want to practice it in watercolor on your own, we can go ahead and move on to photo number 2, which is going to be this one, which is more boats. I was going to look for my phone to see if Kathleen has posted any of her work or Irene's work. And go back to my Facebook. And Laura, I just confirmed the Facebook post there for you. We were just talking about Elizabeth City, and I'm looking at my Instagram right now, and I see pictures of Hope's Studio 511, and they're having a birthday party. And I love her studio. You can see the kids there. Oh, look at the cupcakes. These are people that she has in her studio on a regular basis, and she's doing summer camp for kids. So look at how fun, how pretty her studio is. She's got the markers there in the cookie jar, and they're all working. And there's a big picture of her studio. I'll be teaching there hopefully later this summer when things kind of blow over. Teaching and goofing around with Hope. It's really nice to see all those kids doing art and having fun. So, all right. So now, let me see if anybody sent me any pictures yet. Nope. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, Kathleen did. Oh, no, those are the ones I sent her. Okay. As the painting's drying, it's looking better. I could probably work on it and do a few more things, but I think you get the idea here. This, I'm not happy with the back end of this. I'm going to just push that over a little bit. I think I had the drawing a little bit wrong. Oh, Carly. Okay, let's see what Carly's doing. Oh, look at Carly. It looks like Monet. I love it. Carly was going to... Look at that. It's beautiful. Awesome, awesome. I like the way you used your aqua, your turquoise blue in the back with the sun on the hills in the background. And your little pergola looks nice. Very nice. The only thing well, no, I guess it looks okay. You don't have the boat right in the center, do you? It should be slightly off to the left. But that's okay because you can just crop your paper right there and it'll look like, you know, that you have it, that it's not in the center. I don't think it is. I think it's slightly to the left, but I'm not seeing the edge of the paper either, so. Good job. Yeah. The other thing that you can do is if you need, for some reason, to tie your painting in, like if it feels like it's missing something, like it doesn't connect, with boats, you can always add a little bit of, you know, like a, as if it's parked there. So you can put you can attach like a little line if you want to indicate maybe it's just sitting there in the water, and or you can do it off the back end if you need to connect something together if it looks empty. Your boat, okay, DJ, your boat deserved to be drawn, noticed. Where is your boat, DJ? Is it on Instagram? Let's see if you sent it to me. I don't see it yet. Oh, because I draw so fast? Well, take your time. Take your time, DJ. And let's see, let me look at Carly's again. Oh wait, where did Carly do that? Oh, okay. Oh yeah, the other thing, Carly, that you can do if you want to is, as the water comes forward, notice how I went from light to darker with the darker underneath, and then, well, I guess you did too. Mine's just a little bit more obvious here because if you darken that up just a tiny bit, then the boat will sit down a little bit better in the water. You could have your shadows going a little bit more to the right, slightly under the boat on the right side too. And then as you come forward, it's probably hard to see. Let me pull mine up so you can see. Oops. And as this is drying, it's getting pretty crisp. See how I went from kind of the shadow under the dock and then to kind of the blue, and then before I put these dark shadows in, it went for transition from, I started going darker and darker and darker and darker all the way down. That kind of, I added the red in with the blue to give it a more of a darker shade of purplish. And then the real dark shadows under here, and that really gives that pop. And if you don't want to go, like if yours is more high key with more of a sunlit afternoon, the other thing you could do is go ahead and take your aquamarine and mix that in with a little bit of your cobalt blue, and you could just indicate a few more waves in the front, like lines going across, and it wouldn't have to necessarily darken up the whole thing, just to kind of tie it in a little bit more if you want to. Okay, so hey Gok, how are you? You're stuck at work. What is today, Sunday? I'm sorry you're stuck at work, but I'm glad you're here watching. Okay, now we can see DJ's work because he sent me a picture, I think. Look it! DJ! Excellent! Look at that! You got your background tree shape in, nice and simple. You got your little boat there and the little cabana. Very nice. To make it more dramatic too, you could actually darken up the back side of your boat a little more if you wanted, and also put in a you could put in a blue stripe down the side of your boat. You're probably not done yet, and you could put a little bit of a cast shadow coming off the side of that pergola, which I'll try to do now to show you. Like right here, you can, ooh, that's really dark. Wait. I tried to do this before and I've got too much gouache on there. It's making a mess, but I just wanted to give you a little indication of, oh, it's not, well, that's better that I smeared it. But you know what I mean, I think. Yeah, and you could put a couple birds in the sky, which I never did fill mine in. And if you wanted to, on those posts that are along the dock, sometimes those posts have a little, in strong light, they might have a little highlights. You can take a tiny bit of gouache and just like dot dot here and there on the top of those posts to give them, you know, as if the sun's hitting them. And then also behind there, you can put a couple of masts if you want in white to indicate maybe some boats hanging on the other side of that dock. And while we're talking about the birds, I may try to just put a couple little V's in there for birds. Make sure they're all not flying the same direction. With birds, you can change it up, you know, to make it like that way, that way, that way. Try to get my camera to focus. I made them pretty small. Maybe I should make them bigger so you can see the actual. Then you look like you've got some seagulls on there. Whoops. Hey, Tina. Yeah, I'm using just doing this sketch with my kind of cruddy watercolor paper here. But I think I'll move on and do another one with good watercolor paper to show you. The thing that's going to be different, of course, is the quality of the washes. Because with good watercolor paper, you're going to get those really beautiful washes. The watercolor mixing together and not getting muddy and mucky like that. So, DJ, that's your signature style. Master, you forgot. Paintings used to have, oh, bats, not birds. I know, that was sad when I had a bat fly into my house. It scared me to death. Thank God Joe was here. It was a weird time of day, too. It wasn't even dusk. It was like late afternoon. And the thing flew in. Ugh, gross. Gross. And now we feed the birds, so we have bird food in our garage. And it's in a metal container, right, with a lid on it. But I think somebody got a little sloppy, probably me, and a few of the seeds got on the garage floor. Well, the mice outside smelt that, and they started coming into the garage. So now he's been taking care of a mouse problem in the garage, which is also totally gross. He's like, oh, there's another one. I'm like, ah, yuck. Just what you wanted to hear today, right? My music went out. Carly. First boat attempt. A lot of dark lines on the boat. Yes. Wait, I gotta catch up with the... Oh, a lot of dark lines on your boat that you don't love? Okay. Were you using sketchbook paper, Carly? Not that it matters, but I'm just saying if you want to do it again on fine watercolor paper. It's hard to get the rigging just right. The thing that with rigging that you want to do is you want to kind of skip along and do it here and there. Like if you try to go like this real slow and paint one long rigging line, it's going to look like one stiff line that doesn't have a lot of character. So you want to skip it here and there and you know, maybe it's hit and miss kind of thing. And some of it you can, like right there, just get rid of so it doesn't look stiff and labored. Those are things that you can correct by going in with your fingernail and scratching out or lifting out with a thirsty brush. Just get a damp brush, get it wet, clean it out, and then dampen it off, and then go in and soften an edge. Like maybe here that rigging is a little bit too much there. I can just soften it and then hit it with, hit it with a little paper towel or a rag, and you can lift up areas and practice doing it. Go ahead and do it right on your sketch. Or take out a whole line and then try to redo it. And what you can also do on your scrap paper is take your rigging brush and get your arm warmed up and practice making lines, you know. Take your brush and just practice making lines. Okay, so there's our sailboat. Here's some rigging. You can make a sail like that, some birds, and just do it very fresh and spontaneous. And same thing with, you know, a couple of cloud shapes. And the line on the boat, and maybe the reflection. A couple more birds. Oops. So just practice doing lines. I love doing telephone pole lines that go here and there. We're going to do some of those in the next painting, in the next sketch of the Elizabeth City boats here on the dock. I like this idea here of this light pole with the electrical lines going across back there. I'd like to try to incorporate that into a painting, but I'm not sure if we'll use it in this one or not. But you don't like what you're sending, DJ? It's terrible? Well, here's the thing, everybody, is it's all about practice, and we're diving in and we're going fast, and you know, you may not have the most accurate photo in front of you. In fact, this isn't even a great photo because they're dark and it's hard to see the details. But we're trying to learn the big picture, like, you know, things that I want you to notice when you're painting, when you're looking at a scene, the big overall shapes, the light and the dark, you know. The little details can come last, and a lot of times the little details make your paintings. But you can't do everything in, you know, this is to get you, you know, the muscles working and your eyes working and your brush is wet and playing around with color and values and having fun. So don't try to do an excellent painting. Just try to get in there and get the essence of what we're doing and absorb it like a sponge as much as you can. And then keep painting. And I should be doing a lot more practice paintings than I have been doing. But I've been consumed the last few days with this garden project, and you know, there's different things that you have to take care of, and so you don't always have time to sit down and paint. But I really enjoy my Sketchbook Sunday because it forces me to paint and get going. And now imagine if you did that whole painting again on nice, oh thanks Tina, on nice watercolor paper. That if we do the exact same exercise again with beautiful watercolor paper, and we really concentrate on our washes and using a limited palette, you can really produce something nice. And now I can do that now, or we can move on and do another sketch that's of another scene, and then you can practice it during the week if you want, another one, and you know, that'll give you another one to work on. But it's kind of up to you guys. Kathleen, did I see something from Irene yet? Let me see. There's DJ's. I'm gonna blow it up a little. Okay. Did you guys enjoy seeing Joseph Spookvich's book with some of his boats? Signature style. Let me see the bats you put in there, DJ. Put the birds in. And let's see, what else do I have? Maybe Kathleen sent me something now. No, I got Carly's. I love Carly's because she took a lot of liberty with her colors, and I love it. She made it look like a Caribbean, like she used her artistic license and made it look like a beautiful Caribbean sky. I like that. Your lines, if on your boat, Carly, just mess them up a little if they're too heavy and they feel too static. Okay, so tell me what you guys want to do now. Should we do another drawing of the other scene and do a sketch of that? What I could do is a drawing of the other scene and do it on real watercolor paper. Why don't we do that? Because then it'll come out looking better, and then you'll have something with that looks nice if you want. I'm looking at two different screens for my chat to see what's going on. This one, I wish I could, maybe I can make this one bigger. Oh no, I can't, because then I'd lose whatever. All right, so sketch number 2. Let's see if we can use the other image. Laura, how are you doing? How is your internet working out? Okay, so let me get here's a good piece of watercolor paper. Oh, okay, DJ, yes. Well, thanks for showing up, and good night, DJ. I know it's late for you in India. Thanks for hanging out with us, and good luck with your schedule tomorrow. I know you'll be doing your teaching. And DJ, let's talk this week. I'll show you my new garden beds. I'll post them on Instagram tomorrow. I have a little video to share of my new garden beds. Such excitement. Oh, good. Okay, you're still there. All right, let's see how this is going to look on here. I'll have to move to my other boat picture. Oops. Let me get this here. I'll move to this image. I'll take that one out. Wait, wrong one. This one we want, this one we don't want. I'm gonna have to make that smaller. Okay, and then let's move my watercolor paper up here a little bit more. Maybe I'll zoom out just a little bit. All right, that should be good. Okay, so we're going to do this one. All right, I don't see any more images from Irene or Kathleen of the boats. Okay, so here we go. I like the idea of, maybe I'll raise up a little higher than halfway this way. And then I think what I'll do is just do, I'm not going to do every single boat here. I like this building back here, so I may just zoom in and get a little bit of that building behind the boats. And I like this telephone pole here with the wires coming off of it. I may just extend it kind of like that and bring the building out to here maybe. Have the dock. So this is, trying to think where this is. Those of you in Elizabeth City probably know. It's right downtown. Okay, so here's our horizon line with our background. There's a few buildings and things back here. Not that you have to put those in, but I may leave a few white spaces for those. We'll see. It's always nice to see a little bit in the background, a little bit of something going on. I like that little fishing boat there too. Okay, so up here, let's put in this building. Just try to get that in there. And maybe my telephone pole. And up in this area are going to be our boats. And our dock jets out here a little bit with a little post. And then we'll just put the big shape of the boat in. So I'll do these two, and then I may fudge. I don't know if I'm going to do that one or not. But that line in the back isn't very square. It's not very straight. So Irene and Kathleen, curious if you guys are, what you're up to, what you're cooking. I have to say that we had some neighbors in. Well, they weren't really in. They were outside, social distancing. We had a social distancing barbecue in our backyard. And I made something that I've never made before. I made sham torts for dessert. And they turned out really, really good. Everybody was so impressed. This building comes down here in the background with my sham torts. There's actually a light post back there too, which I may put in. But anyway, so that's in the background. And then this boat, there's kind of another building back there too. I may just, it's kind of got a slanted roof there. Now I need to think about this paper. So I'm going to make this boat pretty big. And then there's another post here. And these are in the water. And we'll put this boat here. And it has a little canopy. Another canopy, just to drive us crazy. going down like that. I'm just going to draw this super, super fast so we're not laboring over this all day. There's also a sail on that, a huge sail on this boat. So this comes down like this, and then it's got some sail and rigging there, which I don't want to really get too much into, but we'll just do that. And it's got some of that metal stuff hanging off of it. Okay, so that's good. Now let's get this big boat in. This is our main character here, and he's very tall. And this boat sits out like this, and the whole back side goes back like that. And there's more rigging lines and these metal parts. And then this part comes up. And that goes back down there. And this comes forward this way. And our windshield is like that. And then there's, wait, let me adjust this a little bit. So the windshield is here. This is all going to be dark. And this line is light. Is this too tedious, this drawing? Does everybody have the second photograph? Because this is the boat that I'm drawing here. And it's got the sun falling on the front of it here. Maybe that's a little too high. And you just want to just get in the general shape of it. Don't worry about I know this might be kind of hard for some of you. But this goes here. It's going to be a reflection down there. And there's also a post here, which I'm going to put in. And there's some rigging lines that go back to another post, which is back here. Actually, they go more like that. All right. Okay, I'm trying to do the drawing really fast so that this, I think I have this up too high. Let's just put the little, there we go. And then this is here. And then we can put our canopy up here. And like that. And then this goes back like that. And more boat junk back there. I like this better going this way with that curving around there. This building is much lower on the horizon. And this building is taller. And it has an interesting roof structure, like an industrial building back there. All right, and then we'll put one little boat out here. I'm not going to bother with this other boat that's here along the dock, I don't think. I could put another post in there, another one here, and I think we'll just put this little sailboat out here. It's actually going this way. And Elizabeth City has a pretty active sailboat population. And the trees are back here. And I've got my telephone pole here. And maybe we'll have another one here just for fun that this is connecting to. And then we have this huge mast on this boat and a couple things. And wow, where does that rigging go to? It looks like it goes off the side of the boat. I don't know. I guess the back of the boat is way back there somewhere. This should be more like that. It's hard to really see what's going on this boat, but we'll pretend it looks like that. Okay. Does that look lonely without a boat there? Kind of. Maybe. I can put our dock here though, and I think another piling back there. And maybe we'll just invent some kind of junk there to fill that in, sitting on the dock. Can be anything. Kathleen and Irene, you guys are quiet. I wonder if you lost your internet connection. You might have. I'm sorry if you did. This is all dark under here. And actually here. I'm going to put that dock behind these boats. That'll sit them back farther. And actually this should be, that's about right. It should be back a little further too, maybe. To push those boats back and give them a little more room back in space there. There's shadows coming down off of all these things. All right. And we also have a street lamp back here, which I think is kind of cool. I don't know if we need it, but I think I'll put it going this way. And some more lines coming off of that. Maybe that's a little too... It's actually more like this. Oops. And then I'm drawing it the opposite way that it is in the picture, so bear with me. It's kind of like that. It has a... All right. Okay, now I'm going to do a 20-minute watercolor to finish this off. And so I'm going to get fresh water and I'm going to paint it really fast. And so you can all finish your drawings if you want while I do this. Let's see, I should have made this building a little taller, maybe. The shadow is coming on this side of the boat slightly, so we'll make the shadow coming off of that telephone pole right there, and this thing there. And that's a building, dark building. Okay, hopefully it'll all make sense. I'll be right back with some fresh water. Let's see, looks like I need to move that out of the way. I guess that's all right. Okay. Oh, let's see. All right, so I'm trying to think if I want to do like what kind of color scheme here for this painting, and maybe something different from last time. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, I'm glad you liked the sketch. You know, last time we did this sort of color scheme, which I really like, but I feel like maybe I should mix it up a little bit. Maybe we'll do more of a why don't we do more of a dusky kind of color scheme, which is pretty light in value, and we'll just use like our cobalt blue and some cerulean and burnt sienna and yellow ochre very lightly. I really like cerulean blue and burnt sienna together, so I think I'll try to do that. Cad yellow, cad orange, so maybe a little bit of hints of yellow in there, and a tiny bit of violet. We'll make it a very soft painting. How about that? Or I'll try to. I'm just looking at my chat on Twitch. Let me see. I'm gonna pull it up, see what it looks like. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's pulling it up. All right, so anyway, I'm gonna get a moppy brush. that I can use. This one should be fine. You want a brush for your first washes that carries a lot of water, so you can. So we'll use a little bit of cerulean blue. And a tiny bit to that, I'm going to add a tiny bit of Quin Magenta, or you can use whatever red you have, just the lightest bit, to add a little bit of that lavenderish color. And as the two colors mingle on your paper there, you're going to get a nice little variation of that color. Maybe a little drama in there. And then as I come down to the horizon line here, I may try to drop in a little bit of my Hansa yellow. Just to warm up that sky like it's sunset. And that's pretty subtle because I'm trying to do a subtle painting. So and along the trees on the edge back there, I'm going to go back to my cerulean blue and mix it with a tiny bit of either like a quinacridone magenta or permanent rose or whatever pinky color red you have. Mix it with your cobalt blue, cerulean blue, and let's put in a tree line back here. While it's all wet. I may want that a little bit more lavender. Oops, I got a lot on my brush now. A little bit. I don't want it super wet though. A little bit more lavender back there near the, towards the edge of this tree line. And into that to, I'm going to go back to that Hansa yellow color, and I'm going to dot some of that back there to illuminate these trees. And this should all blend together and look kind of cool, hopefully, in the end. So I'm saving the rooftops light way back there, and I'll continue this across the page to the other side of the painting there. And I'll let that sit for a second, and then I may go back in and pop in a few more darks. This is behind the sail, so let's fill that in before I forget. And along the edge of that, just try to get a nice horizon line in there. Now let's see. Yeah, there's a little bit of a dark line, a shadow line along there. So there we go. This is starting to dry. It's still wet, but it's not super wet. It's just moist. And that's the time you can drop in a few other colors if you want to. And I'm going to try to darken that up a little bit. So, especially towards the bottom. So I may add a little bit more blue. a little ultramarine, and maybe a tiny bit of this to gray it down, a tiny bit of that, a little cobalt, and then some Hansa yellow, or just a little here and there. Give that a little bit more. Especially coming down to the foreground here. And maybe some of these trees back here. You can see it's still wet, so it's softening and finding its way around. But eventually it'll get too dry, and then whatever you put in there is not going to get all nice and fuzzy for you. Now I can also play with my brush and pull up some shapes out of this if I want. I'm still using a little bit of that yellow in there, mixed in, and I think I'll leave it like that. Maybe a little bit more emphasis over here on some of those. Ooh, it's pretty bright. Just add a little water and let that do whatever it wants to do. Okay, we'll see how that works out. Do I want this side a little taller still, maybe? Maybe. At the threat of doing something bad, I'm just gonna fill a little bit of dark in there. All right. Tree shapes. On the edge. The tree line is pretty low back there, but since we've zoomed in, it's okay. All right, now I've almost missed this part here, so we'll give that a little bit of dark sky along that edge. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on this building, which it's not significant. It's just in the background here. And it's a little bit warmer color, so maybe I'll use a little bit of raw sienna, burnt sienna, and a little bit of our cobalt, and get a warm brownish mix and just put it in lightly. Like that. As long as I'm using the same colors that I've already used in the painting, I'm okay. So burnt sienna, cerulean, and I'll just bring this down, maybe a little more cerulean in here. Whoops, that's a little bit bright. Mix it with some burnt sienna and get that. And this building back here is actually a little bit darker, so I'll put that there. And as I come down to the bottom, maybe a little more burnt sienna. There we go. And then the walkway coming forward is where the dock is. That's a kind of a light color, so I'll just give an indication with this and maybe that I'll carry that back a little ways. In fact, all the way to the building. There we go. While I've got that on my brush, I'm just going to do a tiny bit of that dock there. And these posts, maybe. Whatever that stuff is. This doesn't really matter right now because I'm going to be coming back over these. I'm just giving them their initial. Okay. And back where this building is, I'm going to add a couple splatters there because there's a tree. And I want to get that in. And I'm going to splatter in a little bit of my Carolyn maroon. And I'll mix in with that a little bit of my Hansa yellow, just to get a little tree action back there. Okay, while it's wet. Take advantage of the wet paper to help you paint when you can. All right, now, time for the water. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, you like the colors. It's looking pretty good. Maybe I'll just put a few shadow shapes on these buildings in the back. I want them pretty light. I may use a little bit of lavender in there, just to knock them down because they're really, really light. I could have just painted those in, but okay. And then the rooftops, just a little warm color. Tiny bit of warm color on there. And the other one is a little darker below. Just trying to put any kind of dark shadow color under there to set off the that rooftop. This is all in shadow. Okay, now just want to get a little bit more shadow, more dark under that roof line. Okay. Now, my water. All right, so we're going to start with a lighter, pale, sort of yellowy ochre, very pale watercolor. So I'll mix up some yellow ochre. That's back here on the water, looking all nice and lovely. We can come right over this stuff because it doesn't matter. And let's just continue that down, make it really light back there by washing that with a lot of water. And I got to look at my boat. That's just in shadow there, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to sop up a little bit of that yellow that I just put in to make a nice light white highlight there. And continue on with this afternoon light on the water. We'll go all the way down to the foreground with it. And I used a little bit of that Ansa, the real warm yellow in there, so I'll put a little bit of it in here. Maybe around this area. Get some of that glow going. Maybe here off of this boat, and then here on this side. And coming down to the foreground. I'll take some of this color off of Well, I've been streaming since 3. It's 5 o'clock, so it's definitely time for a spritzer. And if Joe were back, he would make me one, but he's not here. Poor me, no spritzer. But we have a good little painting going. Spicy. Oh my God, poor me, no spritzer. Yeah. So, okay. So Spicy, I was screwing around with my Twitch, with my stream elements, but I was sampling them, but not really knowing. Like I was putting in some of the elements, and then, but I couldn't figure out how to get the text in there. And I'm sure there's like a palette that's already ready. Not a palette, but whatever you call it. But I didn't quite get to that, so it's kind of funny. How was your party today? I'm sure you had a good time. It's spritzer time for me. I'm tempted to go and make one. I think I will take a minute while this is drying, and I'll get my spritzer, and I will be right back, and we'll finish off this painting, which is our second one today. So hold on. Okay, cheers everybody. It's time. It's drying pretty nicely. Joe went out to watch the golf tournament somewhere. He has his favorite place that he goes, and I said, but you know, he's really doing good with social distancing, like he's not going anywhere, but he goes to this one place and he's like, there's no people there, so I don't even have to worry about it. I can just sit there and watch TV. Hey, Julian. Julian, how are you? I gotta think now in Spanish. That's his name, the 4-year-old? Julian, hola. ¿Cómo está bien? Good? Bueno, right? It was okay? All right. Laura, you're probably hearing me talk to Spicy, and Spicy is my friend in Atlanta who is a graphic designer, and he helps me sometimes with my Twitch stream, and he's much more, he knows a lot more about all of this streaming stuff than I do, so I always appreciate his input. And he's got a little guy, 2 guys, one is littler than the other one, 2 children, and anyway, so it's always fun to see him hanging out in the stream. Are you guys gonna play a game soon? I know he likes to play a game, and I forget which one you guys play, but he's smiling. Oh, how fun. So cute. Okay, well, I'm gonna just hit this with the hairdryer really quick to dry it off before I put the next wash on. Oh, I don't have my hairdryer in here. Oh, another delay. Another delay. Well, you know what? Maybe I just go ahead and paint it anyway. It should be dry to be, well, my hairdryer is in my other room because I used it yesterday. Friends are wonderful, absolutely. Hold on, I'll be right back. I gotta get the hairdryer. I can't do it without. Put this down quickly. Okay. The reason we dry it is because we don't want these colors to blend. We want one on top of the other. Okay, that's good enough. Now let's throw some paint on here and finish this painting. All right, so borrow some inspiration here from my, well, it's not quite as atmospheric as it should be, but we'll see what we can do with it. So my little boats here. Let's go ahead and put a nice little Nice little blue stripe on this. I'm trying to do this really fast, so if it looks bad. What did you say about the hair dryer and the curling iron? So it's ready for a night out. Oh, seems like forever since, well, I'm not really in the phase of my life when I need a night out, but I enjoy staying at home now. But it is nice to get out once in a while. So I'll just hit the bottom of this boat with a little bit more color there. That's a little bit sloppy, so I'll make it a little bigger. And then we'll get the shadow going in there, which is going to be my blue. I'm running out of my cerulean blue here. It's a little dark. But you want this all to blend together into a nice little shadow. Let's see, how would that shadow come off of there? I guess about like that. And you can make it the edges soft if you want. Maybe it's casting a little shadow that way. And then let's get the pier in here. I'm running out of my burnt sienna, so I'm kind of leaning on this. Now I have to look at my picture to see what's happening with that dock. Has a nice shadow under here. Like that. And these come down this way. And we'll get the bottom part of this boat in. And what does that boat look like? It has these rails and it has some shadows going across it like that. Oops, I didn't want that red on there. I've got to grab a little bit of burnt sienna. Because I've run out. All right. This brush works pretty good. What that one's doing in there. All right. Okay, so burnt sienna, cobalt. More burnt sienna. I want to get these pretty dark, these, whatever you call these things, on the dock. And over here. This is dark under here. There. We've got a telephone pole in here. This is speed painting. Maybe there's a door back there. And skip along the roof. I'm going to throw in really quick my power lines back there, which are pretty light. I'll just give them a little bit of movement there. I love doing the calligraphy part of the paintings. And this mast, these are all backlit, you know, into the light kind of thing. So I just really want to, oh, that's way too dark. I'm going fast, so I'm not paying close attention. But I want these things backlit so that they're dark. So I'm just trying to come up with a dark color there that's not too garish. It's kind of garish, but I'm going to live with it. And there's a few other little boats and things back on the other side. And then these lines come down like this. And we have this nice little canopy here on this boat that I'm putting on there. Maybe a little splatter there for that tree while I have those colors on there. And we'll get, there's a little bit of something going on back there. That's a little bright. We'll just tone it down, the little purple. And there we go. There's a little bit of just some reflections from that windscreen thing, whatever it is. And then I never did put in the windshield color on the boat, but I think that purple will look nice. And then it goes really dark into this portion. Let me look at the chat. Make some happy little waves. I'm going to. Okay, here we go. So then this has a little bit of something going on there. There's some shadows coming off of that rigging. It doesn't really matter what that is. And more shadows. This is in shadow here. And I'm going to get into my happy little cerulean blue down into here. I hope I don't overdo it, but there is a shadow there. Actually, I just wanna, where's my burnt sienna? Try to connect that shape a little bit. Some shadow under there. And just gonna squiggle on these. This boat. Happy little shadows. Is that happy enough? Spicy? It's coming along. I want some happier dark shadows here along this part. And then That might be about enough. And the rest is details. Maybe I can put a few little happy shadows back here, very light. Behind the boat, running into the boat, and then along the shore here, maybe there's a reflection off those buildings, very slight, with some highlights left underneath there. And then this boat is overtaking the other one, but let's get some details on it. It has a little sail here, which I thought was kind of cool. I don't know if I can really. It should be more of a blue, I think. What does it look like? It goes like that. And then the bottom part of this boat is darker. So I've got to pick up some darker color there. Not make it garish, so I'll just add some burnt sienna and let that melt into there. And then we'll add some rigging to this boat. What does it have? It has one of those things on the back, one of these canopies. And maybe something like that. Spicy, you're still watching. Is your son going crazy? He's saying, Dad, please don't make me watch this. Can I play my game now? Right? Is that what he's saying? Some dry brush to indicate some junk on the dock. And this other little boat over here, I think I'm gonna just use like a kind of a little blue canopy on that one. And I don't really like the way this window here is looking. So I gotta try to fix that up a little. It's kind of it needs to be broken up with some nice clean edges of things, maybe. I don't know what. I'm just painting fast and we'll put some of these things in. And let's see what else I can get into here. We need a few more shadows coming off the front of this boat, so let's just a little bit more blue, not so much purple. And just put some color back there and let that run down into this. You guys must be bored watching this. It's not that exciting. when you're not painting. I'll put a few shadows coming off of these with my dark, and try to get that boat sitting in there a little better. This one got way too muddy. I don't like that at all. Too much burnt sienna. Live and learn. All right, well, I think that kind of gives us, maybe I can just you need a lot of rigging with these boats, lots of little details and things. I'll put in my street lamp here. Not to just suggest it. And it's kind of backlit, so it's just a dark color. Oops. Just hit the camera. Give me a dark color for that thing. There we go. All right, well, for a very quick finish to that painting, maybe I put a couple of my signature birds in for a little life back here. And a few little splatters. And then I should get the mast on this one in. Maybe a little sail on there. And some rigging, very slightly. Great painting, Carolyn. I learned a lot. Please don't be so hard on yourself. When explain your process, it means a lot to a beginner. Our son and his wife are calling soon. Okay, great. Well, Laura, you are welcome. And keep painting. Keep tuning in. Have a great weekend. He said he didn't want your help anymore? Oh, no. He's done, right? Oh my goodness. Here we go. He doesn't need you anymore. He's 4 and he's gonna check out, right? He's building with blocks now. Oh. Does he have Legos too? Or is he into Thomas the Train? Thomas the Tank Engine? Gonna put a little white stripe on this if I can get it in here. It's hard to thin out this. There we go. Put a highlight on that. Little highlights on these guys. There we go. Well, I probably would do a few more things if I was gonna stick around. Well, let's take the tape off and let's give it a signature. Yes to all. Thomas the Tank. And Legos were, I love Legos. I love Thomas the Tank and I love Legos. They're like, I mean, I would go to the store and look at those things and it's like, ooh, I like that one. I like that one. They're so cute. Is he more into the action figure Lego guys, or like does he like the builder guys, or which ones does he have? I feel like this needs a person in the scene. Okay, so I'm gonna put a signature on here somewhere. I think down in here. What color? Maybe I'll just use the same blue-gray. A little blue, a little cerulean. Do I like that? It's not thick enough. Oh, maybe I'll use this one. This is my horizon blue. No, I think I should go warm down here. I think we'll do it more with, we'll stick some CAD red in there. I'm gonna sign it in red because I think it needs a little pop of color down there. And honestly, I could put a pop of color on a few of these little things here and there. Maybe on this boat, there's a little tail light. And same thing with this. And I think that's pretty good. What do you want for a 20-minute finale? All right, so I'm going to untape this. I feel like my people in California must have had internet problems because they were here at the beginning and then something happened. I missed this little bit of on this boat. There should be a shadow coming across this side here. And across the back a little bit more. There we go. All right, that's it. Let's take this off. I hear Joe coming home. So I want to just put one more little ripple back there. I could have simplified some of these colors more. I really got into the Oh well, it doesn't really matter. And there we go.
Are you done?
No, I'm still streaming, but I'm just about done. All right, for really quick painting. Not too shabby. It's okay. It needs a little work, but it's all right. Where is my I was gonna look for a frame, but I don't know where it went. Let's see. Well, I think this one's a little bit too small. Yeah, that got a little bit too busy and too harsh in there. Well, when you paint fast and furious, that's the way it goes. I need a bigger mat. Oh, here we go. This one will work better. I want to soften some of these edges. And I really don't like that purple in there. It's too... I need to smush it. That's a technical term. Well, I'm not gonna mess around with that too much. Let's see, where else can I change things up? So what do you have going on for the rest of the evening? Too purpley. He's right. It is too purpley. And which one was that? Was it Angel? Or what was it? Oh, I'm gonna remember his name. Julian. No. I can't see the chat. I have to look over here. Oh, you're gonna go make dinner. Yes, go ahead. I have to look at his name though. Oh, it is Julian. Okay. Julian, thanks for watching. Come and see us again. And have a nice dinner. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do the same. I do have my spritzer. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Goodbye, good night. Okay, I will stop streaming.